The boy cut out a college logo from a magazine. He puts glue on the back. Then he used transfer paper to imitate the printed name. And then he made his own badge of the university. And that was it. A fake diploma from the famous Harvard Medical School. It was fake enough to fool the dean of the hospital. That's how he became the night shift emergency room supervisor of this hospital. Since taking office, every night shift, the doctors and nurses on duty were in good order. But at the end of the day, he's still a 16-year-old boy. He doesn't know anything about medicine. Everything he knew about medicine he learned from films. So when he faced his first clinical operation, here's how he did it.
Do you concur? I think we should take an x-ray, then stitch him out and put him in a walking cast.
Very good, Dr. Ashton, very good.
At the hospital, he met Brenda, a sweet and innocent nurse, perhaps struck by his innocence, or maybe he needed the cover of another identity. After spending some time together, he decided to marry the girl, but the girl's father was a reputable lawyer. In order to win him over, he had to weave another identity for himself.
Thinking about getting back into law.
In order to give this identity a boost, it took him 2 weeks to memorize the laws that others take years to remember. He passed the exam and was admitted to the bar, and became the right-hand man under his father-in-law. With all these glamorous identities, his father-in-law was naturally very impressed by his son-in-law. Soon arranged a grand wedding for them, but on the day of the wedding dinner, the FBI's anti-fraud agent Carl Schun's clues also found this place. Seeing that his identity could not be hidden any longer, Frank simply took out the millions of dollars in the suitcase. He told his fiancée the truth, and asked him to meet him at the airport in a few days. To meet him at the airport in a few days and run away with him. When Agent Carl chased him into the bedroom with the money, the only thing left in the room was a stunned girl and a trail of cash. With the police chasing him downstairs, he had to make an elopement date with his fiancée. Then he ran away. A few days later, he saw his fiancée waiting at the airport as promised. Just as he was about to greet her happily, suddenly he realized that someone had whispered something in her ear. Always cautious, he immediately became alert. He hid in the car and carefully observed the surroundings. He realized that the place was under 24-hour police surveillance. In order to provoke Agent Carl Frank, who had been chasing him, he decided to board a plane and leave from under the noses of the police. Then he had a brilliant idea. Once again, he dressed up as an airline pilot. He gave a lecture at a girls' school in the city on the pretext of recruiting stewardesses. He even did a mock interview with the girls. In the end, he picked 8 girls with the best looks and temperament. She dressed them up as air hostesses, and waltzed into the airport. These beautiful young faces quickly became the center of attention at the airport. The beauty and confidence of the girls attracted everyone's attention, including the agents. No one noticed the girls, followed by the pilot, was the one they were after. That's when Carl received a tip. At the entrance to the airport, a suspicious person was spotted wearing a flight uniform. When they chased him out and found him.
Don't shoot me. I'm just a driver.
Who you picking up? Pack up, left.
The real Frank had already left on a plane. Carl's second encounter with Frank ended in failure. Having fled the country, Frank had become even more arrogant. His checks were now so forged that even the bank machines couldn't recognize them. But Carl found a loophole in the checks. A few masters at the printing press told Carl, only a very old printing press could make such perfect checks. Nowadays, only France has a machine like that. Following that lead, Carl found out that Frank's mother came from a small village in France. Knowing Frank as he did, he knew Frank well enough to know that this passionate boy who wanted to go home more than anything would be hiding out there. And so, the third confrontation between the two would take place in this quiet village. The boy scraped the date off the post-dated check with a knife. Then he changed it to a more recent date. Then he cut the name of the owner from the cancelled check, and pasted it on his forged check. And finally, the most crucial step of all, he removed the company logo sticker from a model airline plane, and pasted it on the corner of the check. And that's how he forged the airline's employee check. But it was a poor forgery. He had to look away from the teller when he was checking for authenticity.
Excuse me. I'm sure you hear this all the time, but you have the most beautiful eyes I have ever seen.
His pilot's uniform and his smooth talking soon got the better of him, so he bought more model aeroplanes. He used the logos of these models to make more forged tickets. Then he used the forged identities and the forged checks to get more cash. And then one day, when he went to the airport counter to exchange more cash, the words of the receptionist opened a new door for him.
Are you my deadhead to Miami?
That's when he learned that the company's pilots could fly anywhere for free. His clothes were like a ticket to the top of the world, so much so that he was invited into the captain's cockpit on his first flight.
You're up.
And from then on, he's traveled around the world in 26 countries, and he's been scamming the country for cash with his own forged checks. Frank became more and more obsessed with the character he was pretending to be. He even bought a used check coding machine at auction, so he could make checks that were even more genuine. But, naturally, his fraudulent behavior attracted the attention of the FBI. Agent Carr was able to track down Frank's hotel by following the redemption path of the checks. And so began the encounter between the fraudster and the FBI agent.
FBI! FBI!